So Nkosazana daughter suing Podcast and Chill
Oh, I didn't know.
for 13 million rand.
13 million.
Yeah, drip liquidation. Yeah, I mean, this is a sad story. I want to also see it develop further because, you know, I've been speaking to Lekau for quite a while because I was very concerned about the business model that they'd chosen. They also had a boxing match.
Was there a boxing match?
Yeah, between Oscar Mbo and MacG.
Oh, I heard about that.
They boxed on Facebook comments. They Facebooks inboxed or commented on each other's posts about the whole drama.
What happened there?
Like, ngifuna ukukhala ngo-TTP. Like TTP.
TTP alidonsi USB. Nangabudlula isikhathi
TTP. Uyile TTP.
Bro, kid used to tell me about TTP.
Uyile TTP akasekho.
But I heard one of the guys that were telling me, Guti, there was a confrontation between you and Reason. How true was that?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I did see Reason earlier, but I heard Guti, you had a confrontation.
I don't know. I don't know. Yazi bengithi ngiyamrunta. So uvele wapichiga. You know, that's the thing. And abakhuzeki abo Reason abo Zinga, or you know, abakhuzeki. So
Zinga, was good to see you too, bro.
Yeah, mara bayafana. But
no,
you know,
we must have them on the pod and have a conversation.
I'm like waiting for Gigi. Now umuntu sekazikwatisa, and I don't know ukuthi ukwatisa yini. He can't even say, you know what I mean? And he's making a scene, and I'm like, hi, you know, umdala, you've got 4 kids, you know, and I'm not one of them. And Zinga, 3 kids. I'm not one of them either. Are you now going to have beef with that person, or that's it?
I love Osmek and the event. And the event being sponsored by Play Energy Drink. I don't have any qual or any like why is my boy? Why isn't it more fire here? I mean, I understand it's the name of the game. Play gives them at least some cash to pull the event.
Lots of money.
I mean, I'm not ready to give out those amount of money. It's like guys must make money.
I'm unprovocable. You know what I mean? It's like I've taken a stance with him, offend. So, and hopefully he'll be back to the city when OK Malum Kulket does a tribute performance with Reason, and they do bump the cheese up. We're coming with a different style.
Happy Monday, we're back right again towards the end of the year, around the corner. Spring has sprung, Subura no NOTA. Let me quickly go through the topics that we're going to go through. Jesus, quite a lot, eh? But yeah, we'll see how many of these we go through. Back to the city, Tito Mboweni, Chris Brown, Middle East, and Tate Motsepe and Johan Fanzele's business partner getting into rugby, the new mayor of Tshwane, Dr. Nasipi Moya, Phala case dropped, no prosecutions by the NBA. That's just been announced. The 6th kid died in Soweto food poisoning saga. Piers Morgan giving an official apology to the Carters, Beyonce and Jay-Z, regarding the Jaguar Wright interview. Kanye West drug allegations and the ANC Youth League march to the JSE, but the biggest one being the drip brand that I'm wearing today, that I wear every day, local brands all the time. Yeah, brand getting liquidated. And shout out to the flamboyant kid from the KZN. NOTA, welcome back, bro. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. You know, I'm glad to be back. Yo, damn, so much has happened since the last time I was here.
I haven't spent a weekend with you in quite some time. I think the last time we did was in Washington, D.C. when we did the Everyday People.
Yeah.
This weekend we did Back to the City.
Yeah. Oh yes. We did. Oh yes. This is this weekend. I'm just thinking. I've missed a weekend. You know, I had a whole weekend of mine that I ended up spending at the Randburg police station.
Oh, that was the other weekend. Right?
Last weekend, because we recorded our episode that actually came out on the Monday that I was released last week, the week prior. So yeah.
Did you spend the entire weekend at the police station?
Yeah.
At the cells?
Yeah, I got there at 8 a.m. in the morning.
You lie, I didn't know that.
Seriously.
Were you in the cells, bro?
Yes. I was.
No, I mean, I thought you were at the police station. I didn't know that you were in the cells, locked up.
Yes. Well, there's cells at the back of the police station.
Yeah, because I know those cells. I don't like those cells. I've been in one. I've been in one on a Friday night up until a Monday morning.
I was one of 12.
Ever again.
I was one of 12 in those cells. The C12.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but I chose to sleep at the door just to show everyone that I'm protecting them.
Sorry,
you know?
I didn't know that.
I got lots of visits from my family members, my attorneys, obviously, to brief them. And my cousins, etc., came to visit me, show some support. And then, that was the course of my weekend, my horrific weekend. I was advised by my lawyers that, you know what, the best course of action in this regard is to get whatever process that needs to be done to clear my name started as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So, they made me do it, but I have to follow their direction, because that's why they paid the big bucks. So,
and then I check out the paper this morning. You're in the papers. I didn't even know. I just saw it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that interview I did with City Press on the Tuesday after I was released.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've got a constitution that recognizes innocence before proven guilt, presumed innocence, but we've also got a media culture that likes to convict people, in the kangaroo court of social media. So I felt that it was very important that on the record, I state my stance and my denial of all allegations, and also that I never tire from defending myself. I don't get distracted by all the people that say, "Oh, you're talking too much, you're doing too much." Unfortunately for me, it's not their reputations that are on the line; it's my reputation that's on the line, and I need to protect it with everything I've got. So, yeah, that was a quite eventful weekend, and I got to think a lot, because the last time we spoke, we were discussing the plans for the podcast, and I won't lie. While I was inside the cells, I felt like, from a personal perspective, I kind of let the podcast down, me personally. Radical accountability states that, I felt like I wasn't. You've got a very busy schedule, and I'm aware of it. You know what I mean? And for this show to work as well, we need to be just as committed. And I felt like, on my part, maybe I wasn't pulling my weight or my side of the weight. So as soon as I came out, first things first, I spoke to my guys. I was like, guys, we did well in Tembisa. I saw Piano Pulse also shot in the location where we recorded. And
nice.
Yeah. So when I watched their episode, which I think played on the Tuesday and ours played on the Monday, I saw that they just had some better cameras, maybe some better lighting, all of that type of stuff. And the type of content that we're producing just on this platform, is top notch. It adds a lot of value in people's lives, but it's also important that we are also leading when it comes to setting the standard from a production side. So we had our discussion prior to me going into the cells, and you were like, we need to get on the ball, and I need to pull my weight in terms of contributing to making sure this show comes together. So we found some nice partners who shot for us on previous episodes as well, and we've got a new location that we're just using for now. But the main thing is to get acquainted with the new equipment that we're going to be using now. I'm sure people watching those who've got enough data, who are using Wi-Fi, they can watch this in 4K or 6K or whatever, whatever the case may be. You know, you can actually count all my freckles. If you're that way, yeah. So, you know, that was the one thing that I was like, you know what, as soon as I get out, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that I use this time to take this platform and what we're doing here a little more seriously, because, you know, we talk about it and we've done quite a lot. I'm not saying that I'm not proud of what we've been able to do, but there's more that we're capable of doing very easily.
I totally agree. And I think we're one of the people that have contributed in the podcast culture growing in the country.
Yeah.
I think we're one of the few. Obviously, there's others as well in a big way, MacG and the team. And so big up to you guys. And by the way, talking about the guys, maybe that's a topic for another day. I just did not like their stance on your case 2 weeks ago. Maybe we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go there, but I just wanted to say, I've just seen how the podcast culture has been growing in the country. And I just want to take this opportunity to pick up all the guys and all the young guys, the guys in the hood. We're seeing a lot of podcasts and just people not sleeping on themselves anymore. Because I remember about 2 years ago, just after COVID, I used to do like multiple videos on an ongoing basis, even when I still used to have the frequent episodes with Penuel. We used to tell people, guys, get onto this YouTube train. Guys, get on YouTube. Guys, get onto this podcast thing. Get onto this podcast thing. And there were a few at the time. But I'm seeing like everyone now expressing themselves, and I think it's a great thing. Yeah. But I think what also matters is fact-checking one another, not using these platforms maliciously. Yeah. We've also just seen what has just happened to a big platform like Pass Morgan's Uncensored, where he's had to you know, give out an official apology to the Carters. So you use these platforms responsibly.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is, you know, encouraging to see the amount of people that are inspired. And you got to see that firsthand. I mean, let's talk about when I finally got my tag. I'm still wearing my tag.
You're still wearing it. NOTA, you're one of those.
I put it on. It's not that I didn't take it off. Phala, yeah, Puma. Yeah, Puma. Like
you can tell NOTA has been partying. When he puts it on, it doesn't put it all the way down in. He puts it such that it's good enough for anyone
to let someone else in.
You might just give him a call and say, hey, I'm outside of my gate. I did the same.
Yeah, so
I just left mine in the car.
Yeah, no. I waited very long because I didn't collect my tickets the day before. Yeah, like, you know, like these people that make us RSVP to events. Some of us use mobile phones. We don't open our laptops. So your invite is so complicated. Someone cannot even read the whole entire thing on the phone. Once I've registered, I'm expecting to find my name on the door. If you tell me I have to come to your event twice, I have to come to your event for the simple purpose of picking up the ticket the day before, and I have to come to your event again the next day to actually attend. You're overcomplicating it for me. But thankfully...
and while we're on that, this goes out to all event organizers, like wedding planners. Yeah, this goes out to festival plan, like everyone.
Yeah, make it simple that people can do the invite on WhatsApp, on whatever, like on the phone, because
so it's easy to RSVP.
Yeah, it's a native device that we use for all our communications. You know, all the other devices are secondary devices. You know, so Sis Unathi, was called by her younger sister, Ulisa.
Was this Unathi Msengan?
No, Sister Unathi, the lady who was helping with my tag.
No, the one who helped you with the
tag. I didn't get her surname. Yes, but her younger sister, Lisa, was like, no, don't worry, I'll call my sister to help you out because you're not on the list. Or I wasn't, they didn't have the list. They didn't have the list there. So they didn't have the list on hand.
See, NOTA is humble, guys. Much as we had our invites all sorted. I mean, if I don't have an invite, sometimes I use my privilege, right? But he's humble enough to wait at the door, pretend like he's waiting. And everyone was just walking in like, NOTA, why are you standing at the door? Like, are you good? Should we? And NOTA says, nah, it's fine. I'm waiting for. I'm like, come on, NOTA. Just let these people know this is NOTA. Just get in. But then again, I understand that you've got a humble attitude to not take advantage of, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's the thing is that, you know, you don't want to solicit unnecessary favors. Then you owe people. You know what I mean? Hey, I let you in the last time. You know what I mean? Just so like I avoid such situations. And
so when do you use your privilege?
Like, what? I,
Your
don't,
NOTA privilege.
I guess with the traffic cops.
Yeah, same here with the traffic cops. Sometimes they're like,
Yeah. No,
this
actually,
guy should call him Mampela.
we actually have a story. Remember when we were coming back from Zona Vater prison?
Oh yeah,
When we want to go,
Pretoria,
yes, we did some motivational speaking.
Mate,
At early 2023. So I don't really use it. So once we were in, it was just after sunset. It had cooled down. It was 35 degrees, is all. I don't know why so many people were wearing black at Back to the City.
a lot of people were wearing black. I was wearing black too. I was actually wearing navy.
Yeah, you're wearing navy. Yeah, but you're wearing shorts.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
shorts.
Yeah, so was I. I don't understand people not wearing shorts when it's that hot. 35 degrees was a little too hot. But I was encouraged to see the turnout. It was very good.
That was amazing, bro.
But before we could even see the event and how big it was, how many people were there, the cameras backstage, because we went directly into the backstage entrance. The amount of content creators, the media people,
podcasters.
Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is a result of the work that we're doing by just making this content, because we don't get paid from this, unfortunately, yet.
The time is coming.
Yeah, the time is coming.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of time and sacrifice to actually produce this content for you. But also at the same time, we're encouraging other content creators who might have other vocations or other sources of income and have the time to put into content creation to actually do it. Because they're betting on that the time that they've invested will pay them back, as they progress and get bigger audiences, which is what we're doing. So that was encouraging to see. I don't know how many interviews you did. Mina ngibalekile uma interview.
But you did a couple though.
Yeah, I did. But there was just too many. It's like every single blog that it has a blog was there.
But what made me happy was one of my youngins that I used to mentor, Tito.
On the grind.
She used to be on Massive Metro and Homegrown. She's on Metro FM now.
Oh, lovely.
No, because they were broadcasting Metro FM.
Yes, I did. Yes.
She pulled you into Metro FM. Didn't you do Metro
No,
FM
I didn't do an interview. No.
But I saw you go to the Metro FM OB van.
Yeah, I was watching Gigi do her interview.
Oh, yes. I thought they were interviewing you too.
No. I was waiting for Gigi to finish.
You haven't met Tato officially? I assume you guys know each other or something.
Maybe I might have met her there, but she was very busy. There was lots of artists.
Introduce her. She's incredible. She's doing a great job, bro.
Oh no, lovely. So
she was on was it the Big Brother South Africa at some point? But I'm just so proud of you, Tato. Keep going.
Yeah, I know what's Lerato Modise.
Oh yeah.
She was there. Yeah. She's from Big Brother. That's the only person.
Backstage was packed though, but it was beautiful.
But with cameras, that's what I'm saying. Like content creators, media people. So for me, I felt like there was more of those aspiring content creators than they are aspiring rappers or rappers at the show, at Back to the City, which is like a very big change. It's as if the center has shifted in terms of what is the one thing that people want to do within our contemporary youth cultural practices. So you look at back in the day, everyone that could sing wanted to be a singer or a dancer. You know what I mean? Big Nama imitations group Imagas. So you do like Temptations performance, whatever, Drew Hill performances in halls.
Shell Road to Fame.
You understand what I'm saying? So now that has moved on, as in the cool kids are now either gamers or content creators. Either you're into playing games and making an income out of playing games competitively, or you're creating content, you're shooting, you're doing photography, whatever the case may be. And we're seeing that become the focal point for a lot of the kids. I mean, the kids weren't handing me demos. It's the first time I left Back to the City without a demo. No one handed me a CD, USB, nothing. It's first time. No one asked for my number so they can send me their song. Not one person did that. And I'd partly put that down to the fact that, we spread the message about artists being self-starters, putting their music up online and getting it out there, building an audience themselves before they want to speak to another partner that can bring up their promotion and their marketing, So it seems like the message is getting out there. I think like it was a very affirming, that visit to Back to the City, because the people that we're engaging with and interacting with are all people that watch this platform, that love this platform, that wanted to, engage with us about certain topics from past episodes or even our most recent episode, or just things that they'd like to see on the platform that we maybe haven't even discussed or engage about, the type of people that they'd like to have us as guests, they'd like us to have as guests. Now I feel like we're at a turning point, especially within the hip hop fraternity as we've known it in its traditions. They've moved from being the people that are running the music production, running the music performances, running the playlists at events, clubs, etc., to the people that are actually running the content business around our entertainment industry. So a lot of the blogs, whether it be Culture Connect, Every Day, Everything SA Music, all of these blogs, Freshman blog,
Kokota Piano.
most of them started as hip hop blogs. I mean, a lot of them, even the Kokota Piano, they've had to change their names because they've been focusing more on piano. So those people that were initially invited into the content creation side of things by hip hop and their love for hip hop are now finding expression by just covering whatever is working in South African music that people are resonating with right now, and applying the skills that were used in promoting hip hop on the streets, online, through social media, to now spread the narrative about our rich culture and our contemporary urban music.
And let me just also plug Mzansi Prolific Connect. There's just a lot of platforms that are doing a great job in capturing and documenting the culture, which is a great thing. I've always complained over the years. I'm like, Americans are so good in profiling and documenting their culture, and we're not. But I'm starting to see it happen now. The kids are serious and the kids are really committed.
Yeah.
Some of the type of questions they were asking me backstage, I'm like, geez, these kids are connected to the culture and these videos are going to exist forever. So that was really dope. Let's talk about the actual show. The actual show I saw was really well organized. I saw merry-go-rounds backstage. I saw the food stalls.
Yeah, it was very well organized, so I couldn't get in Ngobuso. Yeah, you understand? It's not about being humble. They were so organized, they couldn't just say, hey, we can't just let you in.
For respecting other people's events.
Yeah, no, you have to.
We waited for almost 30 minutes at the end.
Yeah,
but
we
anyway,
did.
I wanted to, just to share for the people who are not there, the type of people who were there. Some of us grew up in Joburg. Some of us started hustling in those streets of Joburg, Hillbrow, Yeovil, Joubert Park, Small Street. We sang around Carlton Center. And just to be back in the city, man, because, life happens. You start by hustling, you're struggling since back in the days of the MacG taxis, getting to parties and gigs when we're still starting to DJ. Back in the day, you used to carry the entire equipment, bro, to go to parties and go DJ. And then life happens, we grow, and a lot of us sort of move out of the city. We go to the suburbs, we buy our homes, and we grow.
I used to live in the city as well.
Yeah, I used to live...
10 Anderson Street. Weren't you at the Franklin at some point?
I was at the Franklin.
Yeah.
I was at Bostonian. I was at the Sands. I was at Ponte City. I've lived in Hillbrow, Berea. I've lived in High Point. I've lived in Yeovil. I've lived at Malibu, just opposite the park next to Joe Slovo. So I've lived in that entire Joburg city.
Would you live there again now?
Probably if the city evolves and the city in terms of quality becomes better with crime and the standard of living around the city. But I love the city. I love the energy. I'd probably if I were to live in the city, I'd probably live in Bram. Bram is awesome. There's a lot of crazy, amazing apartments there. I'd still live in the city. Yeah, I would. I would live.
No,
It's my city.
Yeah, I'm a suburban guy.
Yeah, but I just wanted to say it was just nice to see all of y'all, suburban people, and also people from out of town, all come to the city that made us.
A lot of people from the Free State, which is quite a surprise because there was the Kufa Festival that was concluding this weekend in the Free State, but there were a lot of people that came up from the Free State, people from all the provinces, especially the big hip hop fans, came from very far afield, from just the people that I was meeting there. It wasn't Joburgers.
Yeah, but what I like about what Ozmek and Rashid and the team did was, Nkosazana and them, is they were able to cater for the old heads, us, and also the new kids. And even on stage, the lineup, like you've got the new kids, like all the ones that are buzzing.
You're saying like us, my old heads.
And come on.
I'm an old head.
You're now considered a legend.
No. Actually, ebang tshedile la bafana baga konje ubani lo mfana lo waseThekwini. No, she said.
Maman.
Yes. Yeah, but saying old head. So yeah, no.
Yeah, because the kids are killing it, man. I was there with my boy Ken Kid, and I saw him on stage killing it. Benny the Butcher was amazing on stage.
Nice.
I enjoyed.
Where was I when he was performing?
I enjoyed Salvin, Mr. Salvin.
Township Frequency.
The whole crew. Nice to see Zabs the last letter.
Yeah, Zabs as well. Like, yeah, I guess there was a gap, but I had an interesting conversation on the sidelines with someone who was asking me in an interview, like, what do I think about, the type of crowd that comes to Back to the City and how it's changed. And the things that we're older now. So, like, I'm an old head. And we went to Back to the City in the beginning when we were teenagers. And now you're finding young and older teenagers, people in their early 20s. It's that generation that are there now. And it's their thing. And they've got a different culture to ours. It's not that the event has changed. It's still targeting the same, demographic. But that demographic has changed itself culturally. And so that is the shift. And I think that, Back to the City is just as relevant to these young people as it was to us. I could tell that the young kids that I met backstage were very excited to be on that stage, number one, and very excited to be part of the event, and part of South Africa or African hip hop's grandest occasion. The grandest occasion is the Cape Town Jazz Fest. So the hip hop fest that is equivalent to the Cape Town Jazz Fest for Africans is Back to the City. And I'm glad that it's back. And I'm glad that they lied about 2023 being their last one, and
do you think that also worked to their advantage in filling up the venue this past weekend?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of people, there was lots of activities, and the event is very tenured, I think it's like 15 to 18 years old.
18 years old, yeah.
18 years old, you know what I mean? It's an adult now.
Well, shout out to skipani.com. I think they're also turning 15.
Yes.
It's nice to see the kids who have not been making money out of content creation.
Every time I say shout out to Skipani, when they're brought up, I also have to give a shout out to, one of their late colleagues, Z.
Oh, Z.
Yeah. So she passed away very young from cancer as well. So she was part of the Avatar Skipani family. And former member of the Skipani family, Andile, was the founder of Skipani before he sold it to Avatar. And that's a whole other story altogether of, a media practitioner that works in the same realm that we do.
Shout out to Velingubane and Budzibusiso Mkhwanazi,
that
the
saw
founders of Avatar
an investable opportunity in Skipani and made it a purchasable asset, and also set a benchmark for the rest of us as well when we want our properties to be acquired by bigger media companies or advertising agencies. So, it's great work that they're doing. And journalist DJ couldn't stick around for too long after sunset because he was going to the Major League balcony event, which was also happening in Johannesburg at the outer fields of the FNB Stadium. But that's a more, I'll say, Amapiano house 3-step event. So it was more of a dance event. So those were the two big events that were happening around our city, and both of them went well. Unfortunately, we couldn't be at two places at once and couldn't be at both places on one day. So we chose Back to the City to be the prime place that we went to. So, I mean, you've spoken about all the OGs, your friends, Intangazak. That did a great performance. I mean, of the young guys, did you like any of the performances?
Yeah, I've already spoke about Ken Kid. I spoke about okay, Mr. Salvin, Zabs, the last letter. Benny the Butcher killed it, but let me also give props to Tshwane. Let me give props to Blackie, gave us a great show.
Yeah.
Let me give props to Nedi Nakai. I want to give big props to Casper. And it was so surreal. At some point, I knew that Casper didn't know, sadly. We'll speak about it in a moment. The last song, one of the last songs that he performed, but it was nice to see him there on stage. Before I get into Casper, let me talk about OG Tebe. You know, there's just that heritage tribute. And they did a double HP tribute, which was crazy. Chaotic killed it.
With Lection.
At some point, I thought it was paper cut. But you were like, no, it's actually Chaotic on stage. Right?
Yeah, ngibone nge-chain.
I mean, I thought it was paper
Mina
cut.
ngiyalazi le chain.
I was beautiful.
Le chain lakho Chaotic ngiyalazi mina. Yeah, ngibone nge-chain. Bengingaboni kahle ngathi no Sibuda. Ngibona ngale chain ukuthi u-Chaotic loya.
Fun, bro. But with a lot of events happening in the city and us broadcasting here, let me also not forget to give the Kufa Fest a shout out. The Cultural Urban Festival of Africa. It's Kufa Fest.
Oh, nice.
Multiple different days, comedy, Scorpion Kings, a woman-to-woman event, and then they've got the soccer. They had the soccer yesterday, being a Sunday. Kaizer Chiefs playing one of their local teams in the Free State. And there was also a big comedy show happening at Emperor's Palace, I guess, Fisonene.
They also had a boxing match.
Was there a boxing match?
Yeah, between Oscar Mboweni and MacG.
Oh, I heard about that.
They boxed on Facebook comments. They Facebooks inboxed or commented on each other's posts about the whole drama.
What happened there?
I don't know what happened, you know.
And what are they saying on social media?
Well, the one is saying that she was cut off, someone pulled out a USB. The other one is saying you were late and no one pulled out your USB. And my DJ set ended up only being 10 minutes long because you ate into my time.
So it's a similar saga of Grootman, Black Coffee, and Tseho back in the day.
Tiamo.
Sorry, Tiamo.
And AKA.
And shout outs to Tiamo.
Yeah.
Of big artists performing back to back after each other.
Yeah.
And organizers not interfering to make sure that it's a smooth transition.
There's a buffer.
Where now they have to go in loggerheads. The managers have to confront each other to be like, hey, my time is now.
Yeah, well, the stage managers are not doing their jobs. But I mean, I don't want to talk about the Kufa Festival because we went there. You know, like, ngifuna ukukhala ngo-TTP. Like TTP.
TTP alidonsi USB. Nangabuhlula isikhathi
sakhe. TTP awuyile TTP.
Bro, kid used to tell me about TTP.
Uyile TTP akasekho.
TTP would come, I mean, when your set ends at this time and it's already like a minute up, a few seconds up, he just comes and just pulls it.
That's the TTP that I know and love. So when I saw him at the sound desk, and I can hear on the stage that the DJ, the song is, you know, it's got too much gain. I'm like, Linto anaziyazenze mo TTP. Manja sega soft. TTP is not the TTP. Phala TTP would cut our performances. There was some guy who's like, hey man, I saw you and your team performing this one day, and then you guys just got on stage and you performed one song and then you got off stage. What happened? I'm like, TTP cut us. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean what happened?
That's the TTP I know.
Like Unguzani.
No matter how dope you are, even if you're a big artist.
And that made me so angry. It made me so angry because I was like, you guys are TTP. And I've just had to now explain to this guy that embarrassing thing that he saw, and he's like, you guys just walked off stage. TTP caused that. And now TTP, I don't know, 5 years later, is now the soft guy, you know, calm, kumbaya, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, TTP uwile. I gotta say, TTP.
Talking about that, I didn't see, but I heard one of the guys that were telling me, Guti, there was a confrontation between you and Reason. How true was that?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I did see Reason earlier, but I heard, Guti, you had a confrontation.
I don't know. I don't know. Yes, bengithi ngiyamhrunta. So, uvele wapichiga. So,
you guys had an argument?
No, not even. Bengithi ngiyamhrunta. So, it's like, okay, I think me, I guess. So, you know, he got upset. It's not really. Yes, I'm a chitawe rap.
You guys shouldn't be doing those things in front of youngsters, man.
You know, that's the thing. And abakuzegi abo Reason abo Zinga, or you know, abakuzegi. So
Zinga, was good to see you too, bro.
Yeah, mara bayafana. But
no,
you know,
we must have them on the pod and have a conversation. What happened?
Nah, it's like, you know, I don't want to get into it because I feel like they're trying to get a reaction out of
it.
Hi.
Oh, do you think this is what they expected? So that happens and talk about it on
Yeah, understand what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So
we shouldn't give that airtime. But if we don't, somebody else will, and the narrative will be wrong.
Let them have that narrative.
Own your narrative, bro.
Yeah, I own the narrative, but I'm unprovocable. You know what I mean? It's like I've taken a stance which ngeke offend. So for them, they have to now ramp it up,
So
ramp it up.
Them, was it both of them? Was it reason?
Yeah, one after the other. You know what I mean?
Oh, Zinga also came at you?
Yeah, I think, I don't know. This recent thing happened while I was waiting for Gigi. I'm like waiting for Gigi. Now Munsega Kwatisa, and I don't know who to Kwatisa yini. He can't even say, you know what I mean? And he's making a scene, and I'm like, hi, Umdala, you've got 4 kids, and I'm not one of them. And Zinga, 3 kids. I'm not one of them either. You know what I mean? Badala and Kulisa Bantwana. So, you need to be able to accept your choices in life. Like the position you're in puts you in the public. You've got public products. You know what I mean? Imagine, Manje, if someone says, "Aye, Emo Fire doesn't taste nice. I want to change to whatever, more water." You know what I mean? Are you now going to have beef with that person, or that's it? It's, you know what I mean? And that's where it should be. And
just as much as I love Osmic and the event, and the event being sponsored by Play Energy Drink, I don't have any qual or any like why is my boy, why isn't it more fire here? I mean, I understand it's the name of the game. Play gives them at least some cash to pull the event.
Lots of money.
I mean, I'm not ready to give out those amount of money. It's like guys must make money. Yeah. Take the bag from the big corporates, take the bag from the big brands. So I don't have any problem. So
yeah, so that's the thing.
Sometimes doesn't mean there should just be water
under the bridge. That's exactly where I left it. So thank goodness Umume came in, and I don't know what, she had a word with him on the side. So it was past.
Man, that was beautiful.
Yeah,
we hung out with Moman.
Yeah,
Moman
as well.
Tallest Mo's wife.
Yes.
It was really great to catch up. We had not seen each other in quite some time. And Moman and Tallest Mo, looking forward to having you guys on the platform again, because we recorded a dope episode sometime last year at Emtee Studios.
I spoke to Tallest Mo actually last night.
He
was at work.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, which is a good thing.
A show.
Yes, that's a good thing. You know what I mean? It's nice to talk to someone.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was a Spanish. I know Spanish. Spanish. So, he's doing his thing, and I'm glad to see that, he's back at working on keeping his family together, because he went through something that is unimaginable, for a lot of people, something that maybe myself I'm learning about a little bit more now. But what it did to him was out in the open for everyone to see.
Yeah, no, I did see.
And his spiral was very epic.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad that he's out of the dark time and the darkest chapter of that, and he's back on stage, and hopefully he'll be back to the city when OK Malum Coolcat does a tribute performance with a Reason, and they do bump the cheese up. We're coming with a different style. I understand.
Remember that?
Yes,
that was amazing.
I remember that. Utolas Mo, we wanted to use him for the Questa Take That video, to do the skit that we do at the beginning of the video, and he was too big of a star that day, so we just got this other up and coming guy at the time, Trevor Gumbi, to do it. And now he's a big star. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, Trevor Gumbi is a legend.
I miss you, bro. By the way, we must sit down.
Yeah. So there was that interaction, coming connecting back with people that you haven't seen in a long time, people that that you've known for a long time.
It was like a reunion.
That's what happened at the VIP section backstage. I saw Scoop Marketing. I had a conversation with him.
I had a beautiful convo with MacG. I caught up with Zinga as well.
Yeah.
I caught up with a lot of people that I had not seen in a while, man.
No, Scoop gave me a long hug. A long hug.
Yeah, I gave him a long hug.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
I had not seen him in a
long hug. No, he gave me a long hug.
I gave him a long hug.
He was like, yeah, you need this. So, yeah, no, thank you.
It doesn't age, bro. Scoop still looks the same.
Yeah, no, he is.
I'm like, Scoop, I can't be going grey alone, bro. Look at you. Like, what is it that you do?
He's
Don't
kept
you drink
himself young.
alcohol? Like, come on, big homie, you know I drink.
Mm.
Good jeans, like you look 21, bro.
Yeah. No, it's also keeping fresh. I mean, he's always kept fresh with the latest styles, the latest fashions. So, he's always up to date. You know what I mean? You look to him to say where the kid's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, he's still keeping that prominent role. I mean, they're all part of the same crew, Abo Scoop, Nabo Moment, because once Abo Scoop moved up to Joburg and everything else, they sort of like integrated, their crowds.
There was that show Gonje Begwe Maria Podesta. Shout out to my sister Maria and
Maria Podesta, man.
What was their company? Kutwana and Maria owned a company
Rage.
called Rage.
Outrageous Records.
Outrageous Records also produced a TV show where Scoop Makatini all sort of blew up. He was presenting that show.
Street Journal.
Street Journal.
Yeah, no, I'm young. This is Bugela Sakula Tina. This is Sakula Tina. Not I'm an old head.
Scoop still looks the same.
Yeah,
but then the highlight at the end was Casper. Casper killed it. Like, say whatever you want about Casper, and I love the line at the end when he says, "Uzithandela uJesu." Shout out to Pastor Enigma. Nangikhuluma ngoJesu ngivele ngicabanga Pastor Enigma.
Angimazi lo Enigma wena, please.
Namazi ngibona ama-clips wakhe.
Bengise yabona.
Yeah.
Angimbonanga. Please update me, guys. Please tell me who Pastor. Just write in the comments there a little brief bio. Pastor Enigma is such and such and such. Watch this video to understand. And then
amazipho wakho afana namazinyo wakhe.
Yo.
Ijesu athi umuba namazipho amakhulu.
Mazinyo.com.
It's okay. Anyway, I just wanted to give it up to Casper for killing the show at the end. Killed it, man. And it was just, there was not enough time, but like it felt like it was flexing. Like just do one song for like 1 minute and then the next hit song and then the next hit song. Then you get to realize how many hits does Casper have.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to build up a catalog. But I mean, before I even get into the hits that Casper has, because I mean, he was one of the last performances.
Yeah.
Like Township Frequency is an old school group. You know what I mean? They came right after the Kwaito era. Sharp. These young kids don't really know Township Frequency like that. The older ones amongst us, the millennials, we know Township Frequency, so I expect them to rock. Tebe, classic, rocking.
Yo, Tebe killed it, bro.
Yeah, he killed it.
Yo, hit after hit after hit, and then he was out. Just 15 minutes, a medley of his hits.
Zabs did his thing. Nasty C as well, ufike ngespillion. Uvela washama hit, waphume ngweni.
Nasty C.
Play kinaye. Wafaka nepiano kancane, you understand, make the people dance because that's where it's moving.
Do the same. McLaren didn't do the same. He did a great show, but I would have expected McLaren to do more. I don't know. I expected more from
Mina, I'm
a big fan of
I'm
McLaren.
completely disappointed in McLaren.
Are you serious?
Completely.
I wasn't disappointed, but I expected more.
No.
The gear was good. Always looks nice on stage.
You can't arrive to
a selection of songs.
A Rugby World Cup with your hockey team.
Could have done better. Sorry, go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. What you're saying. You cannot arrive to a Rugby World Cup with a hockey team. He came to a Rugby World Cup with a hockey team. He was putting on a show as if this is State Theatre or Joburg Theatre or wherever, Klerksdorp Hall, City Hall or something like that. It's something that is for an intimate show or a personal show. You know what I mean? You're not there yet. And guys, like, especially for the young artists that are watching this, guys, you need to get to your level. I had a conversation with Usmaman as soon as he got off stage. Emtee was on stage, Roll Up was performing.
Emtee killed it too, bro. Yo.
I said to Smamane, can you hear that song that's playing there that the crowd is screaming to? That song is 9 years old. Your song is number 1 on all the charts right now. It did not get that reaction. I also had a word with his engineer. I'm like, engineer, you've got the most important job. I was at the back by the sound booth and I couldn't hear this man on the mic. You understand? Your job is the most important. Your job is to make sure he's clear, not to make sure he's loud, not to make sure that the speakers are blaring, that cars traveling on the M1, overpass, the Graaf de Villiers are hearing or stopping in traffic. No, your job is to make sure that the crowd that is there hears this person clearly. They can hear the music, they can hear the vocal on top of it. You have to separate the backtrack from the vocal. Okay, fine, do that. Or create proper backtrack, proper live performance tracks. Do that. We can't have at the level of Usmamani right now in terms of where he is from a streaming perspective and all that stuff, for him to be giving not even a top 10 most noteworthy or memorable performance. You didn't even mention his performance out of the ones that you were just remembering top of mind. It was the classic performances, and that we understand.
I did. I started with him.
No. I'm talking about like having a great performance.
Oh,
you understand what I'm saying? You were talking about Abu Tebe. Yo, crazy. Your response to that. I'm just saying, Usbuda, as a Grot man, should be saying, yo, morning this mama, and I finally got to see him live, and yo, it was so exciting because, you know, that's the Back to the City crowd. That's the real hip-hop crowd. So I wanted to see how he would do in front of that crowd. That's what we should be talking about right now. That should be our discussion right now. You know, so I had that chat with him. You know, I had another chat with his management team as well, you know, because they were like, you know, but you know, you're hating on us, OG. And I'm like, yo, Bashanabam, there's no hating bone in my body. The mere fact that I mention the work that you guys do means that I care about it. That's a sign of love, number one. And if I feel that you are falling short of standards that I see that you should be setting for yourselves, right? It means I've got high expectations of you. I've got high hopes of you. You know what I mean? You're not the class clown that I expect to fail every test. If you're getting 70 on the test, I'm going to berate you. You got 70 on the test. You're an A student. You should be getting at least 90 or close to it. You're an A student. That's my love for you. I cannot, as a loving person, sit silently while I see you be excited by the things that are very easy to notice. Like, so we got on Spotify charts. Spotify charts don't matter at Back to the City. It matters whether the crowd is shaking. Is the crowd shaking? Your Spotify chart numbers is not going to make that crowd shake. That's why a 9-year-old song, can you believe that Roll Up is 9 years old? It was released in June.
Remember you told me that last night. I was like,
2015.
when it was playing, you were like,
this is 9 years old.
This is 9 years old. I'm like, no, Roll Up is about 5-6 years old. You're like, no, 9 years. Remember 2015? I'm like, yo, has it been already a decade? You're like, no, 9 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's a decade. I'm like, wow. Emtee is in the game for a decade.
You understand that?
Yeah, but that song.
You understand what I'm saying?
The feedback, just the
now,
wow.
When Roll Up dropped, that reaction was still the same.
No, true.
In fact, it was bigger 9 years ago. It's tapered down now, but I mean, it is still a big reaction. And that was the biggest song at that time. At the October Back to the City, back then, during that year, when A-Reese came through, the whole of Ambitious, they had a big performance, Sabo Fifi Cooper, everyone came through, right? Usmamani's got the number one song in hip-hop, number one song on Spotify, number one song on Apple Music. He had the number one album for 2 weeks, he had the number one song for 4 weeks, yes, for 4 weeks. This is a month since his album was released. He just got replaced by the first female artist to take that number one spot, which is MacG, with her latest album. So she took the top spot. He's at number 2 this week. So I expect high standards, you know. So I broke it down in a number of formulas. I said to him, Smamane, let's keep us talking, Imalin. What, you know, this is 2,000 rands. So I'm like, okay, 2,000 rands. We calculated the minimum wage the last time. It's 27 rand an hour. So if I'm using my calculator because, you know, sometimes I'm a little less accurate than exact when I do I'm almost there, but you know, I want to be exactly accurate. So if I divide that by 27, that gives me 74 hours. All right. And then if I divide that by 8, because there's 8 hours in a day, right? It tells me how many working days. 9.3 working days. Takes 9 days to buy the t-shirt he was wearing. And I asked him, okay, fine, how much is a ticket to your show? Like when you're doing a show, it's like, it's 250 to 300. So let's give him 270, right? So 270 divided by 27, because that's the minimum wage per hour, is 10. That's 10 hours. So how many days is that? Let's divide that by 8. That's 1.25 working days. You have to go to work today and come back tomorrow, you know, for the first quarter of the day. So 1 day and 2 hours, right? That's 1 day and 2 hours it costs to go watch Usmamane performing at minimum wage. That is South Africa. Now, I compare it with someone who's earning minimum wage in California, working at McDonald's, let's say. So that's $14 an hour times 17.5 right now. If we roughly average how much it would be to get what you call minimum wage in rand terms, right? That's 245 rands per hour, right? A ticket on average is $20. So if we're saying $20 times 17.5, it's 350 rands. So it's a 350 rand. It's almost the same price. One is 270. One is how many hours does it take for you to earn that $20 at $14 an hour? It takes you an hour and a half. That's how long it takes you to earn that. So Usmamane can sell a ticket in the United States for a McDonald's worker that gets paid for an hour and a half's work to be able to afford going to his show. A McDonald's worker in South Africa would have to work for a day and a quarter, a full day, and come in for another 2 hours tomorrow before they can afford Usmamane's ticket. Maybe they'll have to work for the rest of the day to be able to afford an Uber. So that's 2 days' work just to afford an Uber and a ticket to go watch your favorite star. The people that you're asking for money don't have it. The people that you're now marketing yourself to, they don't have it. The only thing that you've got is the fact that when you go outside, people scream your name, young kids like you, your friends are getting the attention of all the girls in your neighborhood, wherever your entourage is, right? Those are the things that maybe are exciting about this newfound fame, but it's not developing you. It's not helping you. It's not helping you earn where you could be having a higher earning potential with people who've got more disposable income, right? So I asked him a question. What would you rather have? Would you rather have 2,000 people at your show or 20 people in a show in a country with a higher standard of living where you're earning money? He says, no, I'd rather have the 2,000 people. I said, no, that's wrong. Because that 20 people per show doesn't mean that's the last time you'll ever perform in your life. You start with 20 people. You can eventually get to a level where you're getting more and more people. In fact, I don't want to go to any of your shows as Usmaman. He's like, what? What do you mean? You don't want to come to Durban to come see me at a show? I say, when you've got a show at SOBs in New York, I'll even buy a ticket. I'll fly there if I'm not around. You got a show in wherever, I'll fly there. Why? Because that's the mecca, right? Of this hip hop thing that you're doing. That's the number one market. That's what I see in you. That's the potential I see in you. When I see you at Back to the City, I see something that I believe has got potential to be even further than it is right now, sitting right in front of me. And that is heartbreaking for me. And it's something I cannot hide. It's something I cannot, you know what I mean? It's something I cannot just allow to faithfully pass. That's the standard that I'm setting for you. So, I'm glad that he took that conversation in the way that I intended it. And that was a good, fruitful conversation. I also had conversations with his management because I had to warn them.
They were not offended, no?
No. I'm a Zulu.
He was also not offended, right?
I'm a Zulu.
But I'm saying he understood where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm a Zulu with Anjan. Have you ever been to a taxi rank and you heard the drivers talking to each other like they're friends? You know what I mean? The way it's so aggressive, you'd think that it's about to break out into a fight, but it's not really the thing. You know what I mean? So everyone's gonna say their points the way they feel it. You know what I mean? No, calm down, Lisa. Like it's no, they'll express themselves. The way they do. So that was the gist of the conversation. But the warning that I needed to heed to them is like, you know what? You guys are very vulnerable because you're working with a young talent. He's 20, 21 years old. The world is his oyster. He's got so much potential. And there's so many people out there with more money than you will ever have, than your family will ever have, than anyone your family knows will ever have, that are going to try and use him to make money for them. And if you think we manager, you must know that awumanga ninja umuntu. Umuntu angakujikela. Umuntu angakujikela. No, seriously, umuntu angakujikela. You know what I mean? So you cannot put yourself in a situation where you guys are working as a team, you're building a management team and everything else, and your goals are not aligned. If he's wanting to be a big superstar, you need to be wanting to have the skills and the knowledge to represent a big superstar, even at the highest level. So if you're going to see Usmamane as the next Doja Cat level pop star artist, you need to be at Doja Cat level management yourself. You need to be working yourself. You need to forget about what's happening right now, because what's happening right now is a result of work that has already gone in. It's got nothing to do with what you're doing right now. In fact, you can be a hot artist, be booked with songs from 3 years ago if they're still relevant and have done zero work. But as soon as they become irrelevant, you're cancelled off of the calendar, because in this 3 years, you haven't done any further work to uplift your brand and to promote yourself. So that's the level that you guys need to be at. You need to be unfireable. It needs to be at a position, you need to put yourself in a boardroom across from Usmamane with a billionaire. And the billionaire needs to offer Usmamane all the money he would ever want. And he needs to still be able to choose you, because the pathway to that money that he would ever want is with you, and not just because there's a billionaire here willing to fund you guys. You know, so those are the things that they need to understand fully, because these are the things that we've come up against. You know what I mean? I've seen you come up against it. I've come up against it in also my own journey in the record label business. We are seeing more and more people coming up against it. And our music is lucrative. Those chart positions do matter somewhere. There's income that is generated from those chart positions. There's brands that are built off of those chart positions. And there are people that are exploiting that unfairly so, because the rest of us don't have the knowledge on how to protect our cultural output. You know what I mean? So that's the thing. So I heard him rap in his freestyle. I'm bringing my homies up. You know, my mom used to struggle. Now we're not struggling. Yeah, you're rapping those things right now. It's authentic. We in Jamaj. Like, amongst your dogs, you're the dog. But as your career progresses, those temptations will come. There are people that will try and separate you from those you started with, and try to ensure that you venture into a future abyss without anyone that can center you and bring you back home, so that they can exploit you in any which way possible, because they've been exposed to things that you have not been exposed to. So giving them that exposure, and also giving them a look around the corner of what's to come in their journey right now. And giving them also the perspective is like, as much as you guys are topping the charts right now, you're still not where Emtee was when he blew up. The level of SA hip-hop right now is not operating at the same level SA hip-hop was operating 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018. It's not at the same level. So the success that's happening now, right, pales in comparison to the successes, or the moderate successes that were happening in that band of 4 years, you know, between 2014 and 2018. If you had the hottest song, 2014, 2018, it's a classic. If you had the hottest hip-hop song, if you had Dr. Beleza, it's a classic. Performed. How many years later? 10. If you had a classic song, Kara Kara, it's a classic. If you had a classic song, Do Like I Do, classic.
I went to drop last night.
You understand what I'm saying?
I had goosebumps, bro. I watched Casper on stage and I was like, toom, toom, toom. Toom, toom, toom. Then I looked at the crowd. Then I looked at you at the back here. And then I looked at everyone. And then, you know, when it dropped.
Yeah.
And then you reminded me, do you know this song is almost 10 years old?
Yeah.
I was like, what? Ngut is also a decade old, guys.
Yeah. So that was 2015 when we made that song. So, you know, that is a lot of years put in. And, you know, he just played the chorus. And people still rapped that verse.
Like, we felt like, and then he stopped.
A cappella.
We went on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's just looking at us. I could just see, and I like the cameraman who zoomed into his face.
Oh,
And then they put him on screens there.
okay.
You could just see he's also just having this moment where it's memory. You know when you're an artist?
Yeah. And he's had a tough week in the press.
Yeah.
So it's like, let us remind you.
Crowd embrace it.
Let us remind you
of this man's
that what you are. You know what I mean? Exactly.
And we showed him the love.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he performs Tito and I'm like,
Hey.
Does this man know that this man has passed on?
Well, I didn't know either. You were the one that told me. I was like, ish.
It just happened because it just popped up on my phone. News. Man, time late.
Yes. And you said it as you were saying. It's like, yo.
And then he's playing Tito Mboweni. Shasha. And like the rest of the crowd, all of us, most of us didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, our batteries were flat, you know. And at Back to the City, there wasn't this thing of having your phone out the whole entire time. People were actually enjoying the show. That's the thing. So I liked that about it. And yeah, I mean, to have that little nugget of additional context in terms of how he was performing that song as part of his performance, for me, that was great. And it was an exhibition for the young artists. I wish more of them stayed until late, because Usmamani stayed until late. I'm glad that he's not doing too many shows, because like back in the day when we used to do too many shows, right, we had a lot of bills to pay. Yeah. You know, like it was crazy. And the shows did not pay as much as they do. And now. We're lucky we're alive. We are, bro. You understand what I'm saying? So traveling every weekend. Young guys, do it like Zonke, guys. Zonke, I keep telling you, and people think that, you know... and happy birthday to Sis Zonke. I'm joking when I say this. So Sis Zonke posts twice. She posts show, venue, tickets available. And then the second post is sold out. Guys, be like that. Matlera Doughboy. Look at what Zonke is doing. Figure out how to get to that level where your fans are willing to spend 400 Rand, 300 Rand on a ticket to come and see you do that whole entire production that you wanted to do. Because for me, I felt like that production, it was so well put together. He had a stage design, a set design, Matlera, you had a little spaza shop on the side, you had the dancers and everything else. It's elaborate, but it's wasted on a music festival like Back to the City, which has got a very long lineup, and it's about getting the artists on and off the stage as quickly as possible so that people can enjoy the best highlights of what their favorite stars bring to the stage when they're there. And I think that was the wrong platform to do that thing. So that's why I say that I'm disappointed in that he brought a hockey team to a Rugby World Cup. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm the press and keep it moving. We've got a lot of other topics to focus on. It's already been almost an hour. Let's get into
Back to the City.
The timer.
Tito Mboweni. Yeah.
Passing. Maybe before you have your comments, social media is always divided when people pass on. We saw, I think it was 3 weeks ago, when former Minister of Finance right? Pravin Gordhan passed on. The country was divided. As much as a lot of people were saying he was a great man, you also have had a lot of South Africans who were not happy about some of the things that he's done when he was still alive. Because it's just this always talk. You can't criticize when people are dead, let the dead rest, etc. But then I saw a lot of people divided, a lot of people giving him props during his tenure, during the Thabo Mbeki presidency, some of the things that he did during Ubaba Jacob Zuma as well. And one clip that caught my attention, I thought I'd play it here, was another very outspoken vocal advocate whom we've had on the show a couple of times. He's always on a lot of podcasts. He never censors himself. He always vocal about political matters in the country. And his name is Advocate Ike Kumal. And this is what he had to say. And I'd like to hear your contribution as far as the life and time.
Ike.
Or whatever you remember of.
Actually, he sent me a message the other day.
About Tito Mboweni. All right, let's get into it. Let's play it from here. Condolences to the family.
Yes, condolences to the family. I mean, I'll share my reflections on that. I said Zuma will be celebrated long after he is gone, unlike Mugabe, Pravin, and now Tito Mboweni. This is a moment where the ANC needs to reflect on the quality of its leadership. Mbeki's enemies will not remember him kindly. Cyril has been the most corrupt ANC leader since 1992. Tickets. So what I was alluding to is that the glory of the organization is completely gone. And even in death, their stalwarts or their current stalwarts are not being celebrated. They're being judged for the past 30 years of inaction, against an oppressive and very pernicious system that continues to perpetuate the evils of the past that we thought that we had gotten past or gotten over in 1994 at the advent of our so-called democracy. I really grew a soft spot for Tatana Tito Mboweni. Really sad for him to die so young. It matters how, though. It's obvious why. As in, it's obvious why it matters to us. Why did he die so young? We need to know the full details of, what took his life. May his soul rest in peace, and let us postpone the discussion of his legacy until tomorrow, so those just getting the news aren't triggered or offended. So, fortunately for us, we're recording today, and this is only coming out on Monday for you guys to see it. So this is the time, that we can now start reflecting after people have gotten the news of his passing. Let people first get, because even when you told me last night, I'd still gotten the news. When I got home, I didn't attend to it because I'm just processing the news, and I think that it's very important. But with our current social media culture right now, you cannot police how people are going to react, because the things that they're crying about, that they're complaining about, the policies that have really affected them are real to them, So maybe Tito Mboweni gave you a bursary or did something nice for you, but some of the changes that he was able to influence in policy have made the lives of many other people much worse off, and we cannot invalidate that just for the sake of celebrating him, and also not to absolve him of guilt, but that's exactly what I was saying when I was speaking about the conversation that I had with Usman and his management.
Yeah.
Is that the system itself corrupts us. We live in a Western hegemony, and you need to do what the Westerners, prefer to do for you to be able to trade with them, for you to be able to get resources that they have more of than we do, because they took all our resources, or most of them, And so I think that was the unfortunate case here when it comes to Ubab Tito Mboweni. I had criticism for him. I don't know if we spoke about this in our last episode, but when he visited an old school of his, and he hadn't made like a contribution that is significant, that is notable, that you could see about the school. But there are people who are not politicians, who don't own significant amount of shares in Discovery Bank or any other of these big companies. You'll go into the details. I think you should look at his investment portfolio just to see what type of person he was outside of his public service.
He had a colorful resume, though.
Yeah,
he has achieved quite a lot. Let me just mention quickly, for some people who don't know, excuse me, that he was. I'm sorry, I wrote it somewhere here. I'm looking for it quickly. So you get to understand this man's
So okay, and a quick side note before that. For me, I don't think that anything that you do as a public servant should count towards your resume as your legacy. You know what I mean? If I worked at the post office, I worked at the post office, they paid me a salary, and that's it. Now when I die, it shouldn't be that, okay, fine, he worked at the post office for 50 years. No, you got paid for the 50 years of service that you gave to the post office. They gave you whatever, the bottle of wine, and the star on your forehead on your 20th, 25th, whatever anniversary that they awarded you for. But that's your duties at the time. So people who are tenured in public service, who work at the Reserve Bank, are deployed in all these things, those things shouldn't be the accolades that they use now as part of their legacy, as in, this is what I did for the public. You didn't do that for the public. You did that for your salary. What you do for the public is something that you're doing voluntarily without being paid. It's an extension to the work that you are given by your bosses or your employers. You know what I mean? And that's what we should be remembering people by. You know what I mean? I want to remember the person that fed people on the streets. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't a minister. He didn't have any high office, but he fed people on the streets with the little that he had.
Okay, let me not say his colorful resume then.
Yeah. So for me, it's so much easier for you to get shares in any of these big companies here if you've got some sort of political clout, if you can help them in some way from a policy change perspective, and him being within the finance realm, first as, a commissioner of the receiver of revenue labor
No, he was
minister.
the governor of the Reserve Bank.
Yeah,
And
commissioner,
minister,
governor,
finance minister at some point.
yeah, but he worked at SARS, I think, right?
Yeah, he also sat on the board of the the World Bank.
Yes, all those types of things.
Yeah.
Those are things that you get paid to do that job. You get paid to
handsomely,
a lot of money. You know what I mean?
But by the way, this man, don't be fooled by the shoes that you used to see him wearing there on social media. This man was very well off. He was very wealthy.
Yeah. So, those are the things that we
allegedly, guys, don't think I knew his pockets. I wasn't pocketing.
Well, I mean, a lot of the companies that he's invested in are publicly listed. We've got like Discovery Life, obviously Discovery Bank, Nampak, our packing, Accelerate, the property company, PPC Cement, is involved in every single infrastructure project, obviously. Anglo Gold, Ashanti, Goldman Sachs, which is one of the biggest banks in the world, Mboweni Brothers Capital, Malona Properties, Ifora, Exage Industrial Holdings.
So it's safe to say he was a billionaire.
Well, I don't know his net worth, and I can't tell from that. But what I can tell you is that what we spoke about the last time about South Africans being angry about the lack of opportunities, and the majority of South Africans being angry, is going to show in all these coming deaths of our aging political stalwarts, business stalwarts, because as they're passing away, more and more people are getting more vocal about their objection to the lifestyles these people live, knowing that people are suffering and they're not doing enough to intervene, even though they know that they can, or they know how to intervene in those situations. So the reaction that you're getting, the fact that it's mixed, like I said, that's the judgment of your character. You know what I mean? I get the same thing. You get the same thing. When you walk out into the streets, you'll meet people who will greet you, say hi to you, and when you leave this earth, because you're not here physically to hear it, the people that want to say negative stuff to you that couldn't say it maybe when they saw you or whatever, they were starstruck, they are now going to come out and say it, and we're going to have to start coming to terms with this. And how do we change that narrative within our own stories? I've said before, it's like, heaven for me is how I'm remembered after I'm gone. If people hold my name up high after I'm gone, I feel that is heaven for me. If people talk down on my name after I'm gone, for me, that is hell. And you decide in the time that you're alive what your choice is, whether you're going to heaven or you're going to hell, and the more voices that are able to speak about the good work that you've done in your community, that you volunteered your time for, the better. Because all those voices that talk about what you did for your bosses, those will never be able to sanitize your legacy when the judgment day comes in the court of public opinion.
As we are moving towards another story that happened while we're at the Back to the City this past weekend, Kanye West versus Lauren Pisciota. There's just more allegations that have just come out as well against Kanye West, rape allegations. Leading into that story, I'd like for us to start with the Phala story. The NPA came out this past week and said they will not be prosecuting. Basically, Phala.
Well, I don't think Phala.
I did hear, sorry, before you continue, Mr. Julius Malema at the EFF presser this past week saying, even after his presidency, because the matter can still be raised in parliament and it can still be followed after his presidency. Your take?
And that's exactly the stance that I wanted the EFF to be taking. I've got a lot of criticism for some of my takes about the EFF, but it seems like the what is it called? Constructive criticism has been heard. I heard about some of the reflections that they've done about their previous election outcomes. I was actually reading about a lot of that in today's City Press. Yeah. And a lot of the things that I was saying are some of the prominent things that, they highlighted as reforms that they'd want to bring to the organization. Phala is a big deal for the EFF, right? But, for me, I've got this sneaky suspicion, man, after observing and seeing everything. And I mean, we'll get into this when we also talk about the Youth League march later, or we can even talk about that right now since we're into politics right now. Yeah. all of it together. Like putting all of these things together for me, I mean, the JSC rulings, denying Judge Hlophe of, sitting in on the first hearings, him withdrawing himself, the MK party then saying they're going to submit someone else so that the process can continue, but under protest while they're challenging it. There's another court action for Part B of their application. They've now introduced their constitution as well. They've clarified the dual membership rules. They've given us code of conduct that we can actually understand where their policy direction is going, and spoken even more elaborately about their stance on having conferences and how democracy can be co-opted and within their conferences. Yeah, I think for me, those are good signs. There's one criticism that I do have, though, that I feel that the EFF has taken a better stance on that, in that they're combining the student command and the youth command together. Because I've always felt like having this student command is a little bit of an elitist thing, because it's based in the TVET colleges, in the universities, the people that are out there in those higher institutions
They're
of learning.
combining it now. They're saying it's no longer going to be called the student command. It's going to be called the youth.
Yeah, the EFF is doing that.
Yeah,
but the MK is going to what the EFF had done, which is having a separate wing for its youth, a separate wing for its students as well, which is something I disagree with. I like the way the EFF is modifying their policy
now, yes,
to
include just all.
But I don't like what the MK is doing with that, because of my principle that, as young people, we cannot be classing ourselves based on our education levels. We're all growing, we're all developing, and we might be young people now, but in 20 years of life experience, we might be at the same age, but we'll have similar life experience that is almost commensurate with different skills if we chose different fields at that age. You know what I mean? Like a 50-year-old person at a certain point in time, despite what they did in their youth, should have a certain level of responsibility, a certain level of maturity, and certain basic knowledge that is common sense for a 50-year-old at that stage, despite what it is that they've done in life. So the way in which they're modeling it, the student command, these things will break down. The student command will then say, oh yes, but us commercials students, us engineering students, we want higher positions. The engineering students now want higher position. The accounting, the actuaries now want higher position. You break it down like that. What about also political education for the kids that are in high school, for the kids that are not in school, the young people that are working after they do from 3, standard 8, grade 10, what about them? So we need to think about how we're going to politically conscientize our youth, because that is what was missed out on in the 1994 advent of democracy. And that is what has put us in the situation where 30 years later, young people and older people don't know what participatory role they play within their own democracy, because that wasn't what we were told about. We were told that, they're these struggle stalwarts, they know everything, they are the oracles, and they will take care of each and every single one of us, forever and ever. And we didn't think to ourselves, actually, we need to know what these people are doing. So when Tito Mboweni is signing policies very early in the game and making Nelson Mandela change policies at the World Economic Forum, we actually understand what those compromises are. Because back then, when they were going to the World Economic Forum, we'd hear about on the news, we'd hear about the policy announcements, the changing of the stance, but we didn't understand what they were talking about. We've never participated in the economy as the majority of South Africans, especially Black South Africans, and that made us very naive walking into this current dispensation, which has lasted for the past 30 years. And as it sees itself losing more and more credibility, people should not make that as an excuse to find other people to become the messiahs and save them. People should actually look at how they can save themselves. They can play a greater participatory role, which is even like from my own personal perspective. I've also said, I'm going to play a role, whatever it is, whether I have to be a ward counselor or whether I have to do something within my own community, my own neighborhood, to show that I'm playing a role. I need to do that so that I can also encourage other young kids to do the same. The same way we were inspired by seeing the EFF coming into politics. You know what I mean? We were inspired to be politically conscientized. And now that they're spreading their youth command across all youth, I'm hoping that more of that work of conscientizing the youth will continue. I'm hoping that the MK can do a lot more of that work and help also align other progressive forces as they consolidate their party. And I'm disappointed that the ANC Youth League is not marching to Hyde Park, to Cyril's house. Cyril just did a whole entire meeting with business leadership, South Africa, all the top companies. We're talking about business leadership just 2 episodes ago. Why are they marching to the JSE? Because at the JSE offices, none of the owners of the companies that are listed there are working at those JSE offices. Those are stockbrokers, traders, cleaners, people who work in IT. Like, those people don't have any influence on what those companies that are listed are there doing. But I'll tell you, if you guys go outside Cyril Ramaphosa's house in Hyde Park, he can get the top 40 JSE companies on a Zoom call right now and say, the youth are outside my house. There's 20,000 of them. And he's the ANC president. And the Youth League has got a direct line. Colin Malachi has got a direct line. You had him on this platform and he's saying a whole lot of radical things. But I mean, like, if you got a direct line to the president, right? Call the president. Get your contract cell phone as Colin Malachi and let each and every single one of those 20,000 people that you've got marching there pass the phone to the president and speak to the president directly, the same way he spoke to people when he went and visited spaza shops, the same way he spoke to people when he spoke about feces going into the streets in Kailicha, the same way he spoke to that lady and talk about giving her a job opportunity, which he could do with just a phone call without having a whole youth empowerment service or youth employment service program put together. He's got those friends. Those are people that are in his call list. He can open up a WhatsApp group right now and say, each and every single one of you on the JSE Top 40, I want each of you to pledge 10,000 jobs for young people, each of you companies, because that's how much money you're making. You can at least give 10,000 jobs each. That's 40 of you. How many jobs is that? 400,000 jobs, right? We can create 400,000 jobs, drop unemployment by a significant amount with just one WhatsApp group chat by our president, Cyril. Yeah, now he can sort out how he's going to give them tax breaks and all this stuff. He's the leader of the government. He'll speak to Kizweta. He'll speak to Korongwana. They'll make sure that Treasury comes up with a policy that taxes those companies better because they're now absorbing more labor. But our small businesses are being killed. Small businesses are being killed. And this is what the ANC Youth League is marching for. So for me, I just felt like that whole entire march had got nothing to do with the youth's ambitions. It's actually like a political play between the dynamic that's happening in the leadership change that is coming in the ANC for the 2028 elective conference.
Panyaza Lesufi has just been summoned last week to the Lutuli house.
And then sent back with apologies. They summoned him and then said, "Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to hear your take.
So, like, my thing is this: I see Panyaza Lesufi as either the next deputy president or the chairman of the ANC. I see Gwede Mantashe as the next president of the ANC. He can drop our.
I don't think so, but anyway.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what: he can drop our petrol price to 14 rand, which is what he's trying to do per liter in his current portfolio. He's got a very strong constituency within the ANC and ANC branches. In fact, he swung the votes to Cyril's favor.
Isn't it him that discouraged our current president from resigning?
And
when the Phala
why did he save him? Why did he save him? He said, "I'm saving you because I need you to help me become president at the next election."
Do you think he's got aspirations of becoming president?
Of course, he wants power. I've had these conversations with Minister Mantashe myself. So
what did he say?
Peace. That's what he said. I said he must also put us young guys in with fresh ideas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, no. We old heads, we got this. Nina hambad ni old gitanon. No, but he says I peace. That's what he said.
Sense of humor.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It wasn't a bad conversation because either way, I think David Mahlobo, Deputy Minister David Mahlobo also stepped in. Be like, no, don't take the old man, on his words so harshly. But he just means that there's a process, and you young guys need to be groomed into these leadership positions. And I feel like Premier Panyaza Lesufi has been groomed for these positions, and he's shown that he's willing to take a very strong stance when it comes to his convictions, his beliefs, and not allowing Chris Hani to be killed again. So that's happening. Where it comes to where Secretary General Fikile Mbalula is concerned, I mean, I don't see him actually having a constituency within the ANC like Gwede Mantashe has, and that's why, that's why he's got.
She's finished. Can you please help me to go get her? Sure.
So,
Sorry, yeah.
so I don't see him having that same a constituency. One person who I'm seeing a lot more of in the media now that we're going to talk about also what's happening in Tshwane is your old-time business partner and now Secretary General of the Gauteng ANC as well, which is when I was an 8-year-old kid arguing with my uncle. He was chairman of the Gauteng ANC at the time, David Makura, which is currently Panyaza Lesufi's position. You know what I mean? So I understand how important or influential the Gauteng ANC is. And if he's already Secretary General of the Gauteng ANC, even with their 35% or whatever it is, 30-odd% of the vote in the province, they're still the leading party in the province, and they'll be wanting to stem the bleeding of votes as well as consolidate some of the forces within the tripartite alliance along a certain ideological line. And you're seeing a lot more of those players starting to become more vocal. You know, Sodimai Paila has come in and spoken about his objections to the GNU. Kosatu is starting to become more vocal right now. And the Gauteng ANC seems to be aligned with a certain slate within the ANC that is more on the left or favoring radical economic transformation. So I see them right now making all of these plays for that 2028 elective conference where Cyril will have to step down as president of the ANC and we'll have to see a new incoming president. I don't think that current deputy president of the ANC, Paul Mashatile, has got the fitness and the will to continue in that role. But I do see him stepping out of a role within the ANC top 7 as a way for him to trade a position with someone else who could be elevated to that position. And guess who I think that person could be?
Who?
Julius Malema.
How?
He can be brought back to the ANC. The constitution allows for it.
It does, but I don't think so.
Okay, outside of...
He already has a political party. I wouldn't think that he would rejoin the ANC, but he would use...
So would he be willing to be deputy president of the country? Yes or no? He was willing to do that, right?
Yes.
And if the path to being deputy president of the country in the 2029 election means him going in to be deputy president of the ANC, why would that be so impossible?
His constituency won't allow him to. And you wouldn't abandon a party that you built for so long, for over a decade, just to go back to the ANC for positions.
Once you're deputy president, you've got presidential benefits for life, the same way, what's our, the cat, Ikat.
Oh, Mr. Mabusa.
David Mabusa has.
Yeah,
and you've got all of those benefits. He doesn't enjoy those benefits currently.
But he can still work his way out somehow. I did an episode, a very interesting one with political analyst Prince Mashele, which it's gonna come out, I think, this week or next week, where he does say so. It's still very possible, which he has been predicting since before the elections, that Mr. Julius Malema can still make a deal with Paul Mashatile for him, Mr. Julius Malema, to be deputy president of the country while he's still leader of the EFF.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to leave the EFF and join the ANC.
But what's the point? Because we've already seen how the DA has become the ANC. All of a sudden, they're no longer challenging the Phala case. So they're already part of the GNU. Who's the biggest minister in the ANC right now? Is it not Gayton McKenzie of the Patriotic Alliance? He's the biggest ANC minister. He's promoting the ANC government.
Populism, yes.
It's an ANC government. It's an ANC-led government. He forms part of the ANC-led government. The person who hired him is the ANC president. Is he not forming part of the ANC in that way? So whether or not...
Oh, you mean in that way? So we're basically saying the same
thing. That's what I'm saying, is that it doesn't need to be formally via conference. but I see that as a pathway in, and he might want, to create an ambiguous situation, maybe a dual membership situation. The MK constitution allows that. The EFF is going into the NPA now towards the end of this year, so maybe there might be constitutional amendments in that regard as they decide, who their next leadership cohort is. But I don't see.
So you are saying that Mr. Julius Malema we could find out. He almost became president, by the way, a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you are saying that potentially he could be our president, because once he's DP, he stands a very big chance of becoming the president of the country.
He could be president if he joins the ANC.
I don't think he'll join the ANC, but in that way,
if he could find a way to join the ANC,
because he's a great politician.
So at 9%, he's got no chance. If the ANC falls to 30%, he's got a chance.
Which do you think the ANC will fall to 30%?
Or do you they've already fallen below 40.
Will come back?
They've already fallen to below 40. That's 39.7. So they've already fallen below 30. So I'm saying with the difference of his votes, if they lose that 9% that he's currently got right now, who's to say that the EFF is not going to lose votes in the next coming elections?
Prince Mashela says they will.
A lot of people are predicting that their votes will halve.
Prince Mashela says the ANC is also not coming back.
Yeah.
Prince Mashela says the DA also won't perform well in the next upcoming elections. When I ask him the question, then which party is going to do well? He says the MK.
I think the MK is going to do well as well. But I feel like the best opportunity for the ANC to stop the MK from completely destroying them is to bring Julius. And I think that's the choice that might have to be made. And do I think that Cyril has invested enough in Julius? I do, because the number one donor to the EFF's previous election campaign is Patrice Motsepe, who's Cyril Ramaphosa's brother-in-law. Even though he's telling, hey, Patrice, why didn't you give Drip 20 million? But he gave you money. Maybe if he didn't give you money, he might have had money. No, I'm just joking. You know what I mean? I don't want the EFF guys to attack me. It's peace, guys. We're very respectful here. So that's what I'm seeing the machinations telling me right now. Who's to know? Maybe I'm just saying that because that's how I want it to be. But I feel like that's what's the outcome of the current political machinations. Don't count out Gwede Mantashe. Don't count out Gwede Mantashe.
Interesting one.
That guy is holding on to our electricity. Now he's got someone who's juniorizing for him because it's a separate department. He holds on to our fuel. You understand? Currently, Mofire is delivered at how much per liter? What's the petrol price to deliver Mofire?
The current petrol price, I wouldn't tell you the exact figure.
Yeah, but it's in the 20 rands. Yeah. So are you telling me as someone who's trying to sell Mofire and get better margins, if the petrol price goes down to 40,
would benefit us largely, yeah.
And who would be to credit for that?
Him.
Gwede Mantashe. Yeah. Would that not be one of the biggest things he can do to affect the cost of living crisis that South Africans are facing?
Obviously that, and
much bigger than the rugby team winning a World Cup, much bigger than the Olympic team performing well, much bigger than Amapiano topping the charts all over the world, much bigger than anything Kate and McKenzie could do.
All right, I know that we are running out of time, but just for the sake of time, while we're still in politics, I said Phala, and I think you sort of jibberickered and you dodged me there. I want to hear your opinions on Phala and the new Tshwane mayor, Dr. Nasipa Moya. And maybe with that being said, let's all bungle all of those issues together with
the Soweto food poisoning saga, I think.
Yeah. The Soweto food poisoning saga, and then maybe we'll touch a little bit on or maybe the Middle East will do it on the next episode, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or drip liquidation.
Yeah. So I think if we start with the Phala issue, the Phala issue is not going to be dropped. The only thing that's been dropped is the ball. And the only thing that's been dropped is the charade. So we know that our justice system is two-tiered. There are people that it favors. The NPA is going to prosecute those who are aligned with certain political groups more harshly than those who aren't aligned. And what's happening with our current justice minister right now is also part of this mess. So I'd actually like to wait for the justice minister's comments on this. not even to get clarity from Shamila Batoy, who's the National Director of Public Prosecutions. But I'd like to hear what the Justice Minister is saying about this, and what way in which she could intervene, because this was a declaration that was made by the Limpopo NPA. So that's the issue on that. And I feel like the EFF is pursuing it. The MK is threatened to pursue a private prosecution. They're doing what the DA does to all its enemies, to the ANC right now. So let's see how the DA likes that. And let's see if Freedom Under Law and the Helen Suzman Foundation and all of them are going to defend Ramaphosa and this Phala case the same way that our previous or our current public protector, she was acting at the time when she absolved him of all wrongdoing, even though he was engaged in business, even though presidency to involve himself even further in that business, even though he went, and had people kidnapped and imprisoned, and their trial is about to start right now. So those revelations from that trial and how that entire heist took place are going to be central in further investigations into this case as it develops. The drip liquidation saga.
Before we get into the drip liquidation, Ugo Kelenzile is pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
And he is saying no more negotiations with the ANC up until Celia Brink comes back. Tshwane. And Tshwane, we've got a new mayor. And, guys are keeping it moving. Dr. Nasipo Moya.
Yeah, so, the new Tshwane mayor, he hasn't even had 100 days yet. Let's give it a chance. But I'm very hopeful. I know that Ntate Herman Mashaba owes his home community of Hammanskraal service delivery. And he knows that he doesn't want to have the same fate befall him when he reaches the age where God wants to return him back to our home. That has befallen Pravin Gordhan and to some extent even Tito Mboweni currently, right now. So I'm hoping that his legacy, one way his name is held up high, and he'll ensure that this mayor delivers services to the people and security to the people of our capital city. That is the administrative home of our government, and it's our academic hub. It's the lungs of South African youth culture. The universities are filled right now with students from all over the country, as far afield as KZN, Western Cape, Northern Cape, Limpopo province also sends through a big contingent. Even though there's a university now in Mpumalanga, they also send a huge contingent to University of Victoria. And during school holidays, those lungs exhale and spread that culture that has been fermenting within that region to the rest of the country through all its arteries, and then they come back again when schools reopen, and they bring back some of their culture that, they've gone reaccustomed to from their time back at home during the holidays, and then it merges and creates that melting pot and then ferments into something, even greater than it was before. So it's a very important part of our country, and we can never let it go by the wayside. You know what I mean? Get it being run over. I think that's where we'll leave it for now, because it's still a developing story. Let's see how it develops. And then drip liquidation. Yeah, this is a sad story. I want to also see it develop further, because, I've been speaking to Lekau for quite a while, because I was very concerned about the business model that they'd chosen. Trying to also help him with some of my other networks, connect him with other business people within the same field that he's in. What I feel is really sad about the strip brand is that kids love it. I was on Table Mountain one day, and this other Indian family, and all the kids, I think they had like 5 kids, this couple had 5 kids, all of them had different colors of drip. And I asked the father, so how many does each have? He's like, all of them have their own favorite colors. All of them have their own drip sneakers in their own favorite colors, and they don't like wearing the same color on the same day. He's got 5 kids, and they're all wearing drip sneakers. Once the kids are into the sneakers, the mothers are buying it. The fathers are taking out the credit cards. The family is invested into this brand, and our families are invested into this brand. So it's just sad to see what's currently happening. I hope something can be done to salvage the brand.
For some reason, and nothing was done. with all the billionaires and the multimillionaires and the government and all of that, and people who claim to be for black business, you can see once you're in trouble, you're on your own.
Well, if
And
you started,
kudos to those who
you started in the Ramaphosa economy. If you started before the Ramaphosa economy, like a Mofire, which is what, 10, 11 years old now,
and nobody has ever assisted.
You understand
like
what I'm saying?
own. Like black child, you're on your own. Like the sooner you understand black child that you're on your own, the better. Doesn't matter who you know. Imagine how many politicians I know, how many people in high positions, how many millionaires, how many billionaires I know. Till today, not a single cent from no one. You're on your own. Just understand that and be okay with it, and such that you don't get to be mad at people, or you don't get to bargaining. You don't get to be frustrated.
Okay, yeah.
So don't expect nothing from now and just know that you're on your own. But yes, do pursue funding institutions, do pursue getting funding from as many places as you can and as possible. But when it doesn't happen, don't be mad at no one. Just know, podcast, hey, we're actually on our own. Everybody just watched Drip go all the way down to liquidation mode. And shout outs to
didn't get to even drop the Drip liquids.
But let me say to you that I love Lekau because he's a smart businessman. I think he saw this one coming, and I do know that he's already been speaking openly in the public about the rebranding Drip Sportif from Drip Footwear. So I just want to, wish him.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about that because that seems like a little bit of creative accounting. I know that when liquidation proceedings come, they do things to prevent you from changing company names, changing brands, and a whole lot of things like that. So
maybe it'll be nice for us to have him here.
Yeah, that's why I want to actually have this conversation, with not only him, but other people, you know what I mean?
And professionals who understand.
Professionals that understand that business, and to see what we can do, what intervention. In fact, to have a conversation with them and say, okay, let's actually have a conversation about an intervention that can be made to salvage the brand, because the brand is something that, we could bring to South Africa from a manufacturing perspective. You know what I mean? Whatever facilities that they're using, wherever they're manufacturing it, we can have them brought here with proper investment, bring those jobs, those manufacturing jobs here. And what do you know? Maybe Drip can be a company that is producing for a number of companies around the world, and maybe a number of footwear brands in South Africa.
Yeah. Maybe as we are about to wrap it up, I was listening to Clement Manyatsela's show on 702 this week.
Okay.
He made an example about how much he loves R. Kelly so much that he's had to be able to separate his love for his music and the fact that the man was an evil man, right? And former VC, Prof. Mamokgethi Phakeng, called in on the show, and she did say that she's been criticized.
Are you sure that's not on the other end? There's another part of the thingamajig.
Of the what?
Don't worry. I'll ask Sego to get it when he's back.
Okay.
There's another part, the Chris Brown.
It's not yet, but it's fine. I'll remember it because I wanted us to close off on the last two topics. But before we do that, Prof. Mamokgethi Phakeng did say, I'm going to Chris Brown. I understand.
She must start here before she gets to Chris Brown.
And that would be dope, actually. Yeah. Prof. Mamokgethi Phakeng, it would be really, really an honor to have you here and just sit down and have a conversation before you go to Chris Brown. Anyway, this is not about her, but it's about they call it on today's City Press, the anti-Chris Brown brigade is wrong. And this is an interesting piece that I just wanted to read the first parts of this article. And I think somebody took, they took it from here. Damn it. I don't know where the rest of this paper is.
Yeah. No, I think I saw that article about cancel culture, how far it goes, Bill Cosby, a whole lot of these cases. I mean, this whole entire Chris Brown case is like they're finding some man that they can use to perpetuate this narrative that black men are evil, etc. They're finding an excuse. And Chris Brown's matter was done a long time ago. Did not happen in this country. He was prosecuted for it, convicted, spent time in prison. He's repaid his debt to society as far as that's concerned. When it comes to Rihanna, she is married or engaged. She's got 2 or 3 children. She's got $1 billion company and everything else. I think she is past that. Now, if Rihanna is past it, why are you still stuck there? The victim has got her justice. Let us get the justice and then leave it at that. Why do we need to seek more than justice? Why is justice not enough? justice has been done to Chris Brown. He's lost lots of opportunities because of the stigma that's around his name. You know what I mean? There's many, many opportunities that he's lost out on. You know, his name is not as highly regarded as it should be. You know what I mean? He's got lots of antics that he does. At the last Grammys, he was talking about who's Robert Glasper. You know, for us, you know, that's like one of the premier music producers. You know, the guy practically, you know, put together Lauryn Hill's one and only album, record-breaking album as well. You know what I mean? Amongst other works that he's done. And Chris Brown was seen disrespecting someone he should be seen as a legend. And so he's got things about him that maybe we don't like. But let us stop hammering this nail. You know, like the issue is done. And for me, the spectacle has raised more issues. You know, you spoke about the Ye issue, and I haven't heard about that. And you know, I'm a big Ye fan, so I still want to read about that before I make any comment on that, because I need to make sure that my goat, you know, things are in order. Despite the seriousness of that, you know, those allegations, we're not making light of that. I just want to make sure that we've got our story straight. Then, you know, aside from just that, Ye is also someone who was very much anti-abortion, and we saw this whole entire discussion then go into someone making a comment about Professor Pakeng buying the tickets. Then they brought up her old tweets where she was celebrating having an abortion. You know, I've been speaking about our crazy abortion stats. We've got maybe roughly 40,000 murders a year, right? You got 9 to 10 times more abortions a year. It's crazy. It's crazy. 50% of the abortions are illegal abortions. So more than 200,000 of the abortions that happen in South Africa are illegal abortions. We're heading towards 500,000 abortions being done a year. That's 500,000 future potential presidents, Springbok players, swimming gold medalists, athletics 4x100 meter champion, gone without a chance at life. 100% of all of those deaths happen within the bodies of women. Yes, we've got high murder rates, high violence rates amongst men, right? But those are not 100% men, not 100% black men. When it comes to abortion, every single abortion is performed on a woman. There's not one abortion that has ever been performed on a man, ever. Ever. So we need to look at how is that affecting our society psychologically. You know, when a woman decides that she is not fit to be a mother for whatever reason, economic, social pressures, too young and everything else, that's going to disturb her for a long time. It's either she's going to work at fixing that position so she can put herself in a position to be a mother, or she's going to accept her fate that she's either, you know, chosen to be a barren woman, because that's what they call women that don't have children. They call them barren women, or to not contribute to the perpetuation of humanity and civilization. And those things affect you psychologically because we've got biological needs. We need to reproduce. We need to see that, okay, fine, I've lived this life. I know that my life is temporary. When I'm gone, this is my legacy. My children carry on my legacy. My grandchildren ensure that that legacy, it lives on. My great-grandchildren means that we have now a bloodline. Everyone wants to have their own bloodline, you know, biologically speaking. And our biological needs not being met affects our psyche and our mental health as well, and the type of people that we are. So when you see someone posting, oh, I did this abortion, oh, what the best decision of my life, now I'm doing an office job, the mere fact that you can joke about taking a child's life before they've had their right to life, constitutional right to life, before they've had that, you're bragging about it on social media as if it's just a joke, just shows we've lost a level of morality that is unacceptable. Like, those can't be jokes, you know. And Ye was speaking about that. So even in this instance, like, I'm very surprised by these current allegations trying to, or that are purported to wrap him up in some Diddy party or whatever they call them. They call them freak offs or whatever they call them. And I'd like to look into that deeper. And I'm hoping that the allegations are not true, just in the same way as I'm hoping that some of the allegations made by Jaguar Wright, because a lot of them have come true. I'm sorry, we have to give it to the system.
Yeah.
We have to give it to the system. So we have to forgive Piers Morgan, because now we could be in that same position. Like, this person has said 8 out of 10 right things. You know what I mean? So let's give
It
Jaguar
happened 2 years ago when we got a potential.
Yes, let's not even go there. Let's not, it's just not weird, because Uprenyal is still angry about that thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's still angry about that thing, but now Uprenyal has Flanyesa because, hey, ezinye lezi yaphela. Yeah, boy. So Jay-Z no Beyonce ubonile ukuthi ezinye.
Yeah.
And Piers Morgan had to apologize, retract, and say, yo, Jaguar Wright, hey, is on the left there, on her own, to the left.
And why do you think they are not going after Jaguar Wright?
That's the thing. I don't know.
Do you think it's just a thing of
they've got a law of discovery in America?
Piers Morgan will end up legitimizing this person's narratives on this big platform that you have?
No, I don't think it's that. I mean, I went through a lawsuit as well, and the lawsuit laws, for defamation, it needs to be, it's the reasonable person test, and they need to be able to prove intent, right? Did you intend to defame? So if you look at the statements, they intended to defame Jay-Z and Beyonce. They're like, oh, this good image that you guys have of him is completely wrong. This is who they truly are. That is intention to defame, right? Now, if she cannot prove what she's claiming, right, she can ask for discovery, where further investigation can be gone into to conclude the lawsuit with the added information. We don't have that benefit in South Africa, and so them not pursuing her is very shocking for me, because even the argument about not having enough money, Tasha K was sued even though she didn't have enough money. All her YouTube money is going to Cardi B now.
Yeah.
Now she works for Cardi B.
Yeah.
It's so Jaguar Wright could work for Jay-Z and Beyonce if she wanted to. I mean, if they wanted to pursue her, and if what she was saying is lying. So that's add credence to the story that what she's saying might have some truth to it and they want to bury it. But Piers Morgan, because he's got corporate sponsors and everything else, he's an easier target to discredit the whole entire story if they target him with a threat of a lawsuit or demand or give him an ultimatum to apologize and retract that specific part, without having to deal with the messiness of pursuing Jaguar Wright, which will cost them a lot of money, and who knows what other skeletons that might reveal.
Because you'll have to prove it in court and other things end up coming up.
You know what I mean? So
we're out of time. I think maybe let's wrap it up. Your last words?
Yeah, my last words is, for the future of podcasting, guys, I don't know if you heard about the Nkosazana daughter saga.
No?
So Nkosazana daughter suing Podcast and Chill.
Oh, I didn't know.
For 13 million rand.
13 million?
Yeah. So
what for?
Because MacG alleged that, she was lying about the father of a child between Sir Trill and Master KG. She then said, this is very unfair that he would say this on such a big platform. Their families involved. Our family members are now distraught by this, and asked him to retract. Instead of retracting, he said, if I'm lying, she can sue me. And so now she's suing him to prove that he's lying, right? So to speak. And we don't have discovery. So he's not going to be able to plead with the court and say, hey, please do a DNA test to verify my allegation. And using allegedly does not absolve you of intent, right? And for me, it's very easy to empathize with a judge that would see that as a very egregious thing, because, other than, and it's sad to use this example, but other than being falsely accused of a crime like rape, right? The only other thing that is just as heinous, as a false accusation, is that you are committing paternity fraud. So you're allowing another man to raise someone else's child, as a woman. Your entire dignity. Men will disrespect you because of that. Women will disrespect you because of that. All of that. So I understand why, if what MacG is saying is a lie directed at her, she would be very angry and demanding a ridiculous amount in compensation. And all I want to say from my side, and my personal opinion, is that he must please settle this quickly. Retract, apologize, settle this quickly. Because having been in the dock myself, having heard the judge say, hey, we're taking this much money from you, we're declaring that you're going to pay this person's legal fees. And that was like a demand of 500,000, which ended up, the judge reduced it because of my very strong legal team to 200,000.
That was with Shimza, right?
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
So you're paying Shimza every month?
No.
Okay.
My lawyers are working on whatever we settle there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we had entered into a settlement agreement. But yeah, but that was after the ruling. Had I entered into a settlement agreement, you know what I mean, with Shimza before the ruling, maybe I could have said, yeah, 900,000, Donham. I'll post, I'll say sorry, I'll retract everything, whatever. Whether or not I believe what I was saying is true, I could not come to court with evidence that he'd been convicted of something like this. And because I didn't have that, just mere evidence in the public opinion, the fact that something happened on Checkpoint, because I mean, the whole entire thing is stemmed from a Checkpoint episode I was watching about Mamuluko Kubai's cookout at his place in Tembisa, right? Because of that, and even though the Public Services Commission was investigating the whole entire thing, so he was being investigated at the time, the judge still said, because he hasn't got a conviction against him, what you're saying is harmful, is hurtful, is defamatory, and this is the ruling. So Mina, I'm speaking from experience, as someone who's taken the L before.
And you're giving MacG a noble advice.
Business saving advice. Business saving advice. Phala, let's say the judge says, okay, 10 meter ge. Imhlulili 20. Ulikao. Imhlulili. Business liquidated. Nkosazana daughter's lawsuit could cause Podcast and Chill to be liquidated. Married traditionally through lobola. That's community of property. Whatever businesses your wife owns, if it's all wrapped in and you guys own these things together, can be wrapped up in this. Where do we sit as a South African podcasting industry without MacG? Where do we sit? So it's not even about saving himself. It's about saving all of us. And also setting an example to say, this is a line too far. You know what I mean? Once you've crossed this line, you know what I mean? You are now giving your business up to a judge to decide its future. So that is something that, I feel like as my final parting shot, especially to the viewers, we want to support all these platforms in their growth, all the way to the top. You know what I mean? And want them to have freedom of speech as well, to be able to say anything and everything that they feel is necessary to be said. But when it becomes defamatory and it's like consistent and you can see that this is intentional to defame someone, it could be costly for your business and civil actions could be pursued. Personally, I don't believe in suing people for money. I feel like if they've defamed me, I can open a case of crimen injuria. And that can be done at a police station. I can get a protection order. I was granted a protection order against defamation and extortion just a couple of weeks ago, And while we're sitting watching this right now, or while people are sitting watching this, I'll be in court for that protection order's court date on Monday or today for those who are watching right now. So I feel like we don't want to end this year by losing one of our biggest, podcasting figures as a business. So, yeah.
Very much so from NOTA, noting that about 2 weeks ago or so, after your saga hit the headlines, some of the things that Sol and MacG said about you, I see your comments about what is happening with Nkosazana daughter and Podcast and Chill as mature from you.
No, thank you.
And big up to that.
No, thank you. Yeah, I mean, look, we have to be able to hold each other to account. There's a lot of temptation to just go into easy and cheap insults when we feel the temptation to, but it's unnecessary. We're building here. And as you can see, we're up against a lot. We've already lost Likao. We don't need any more inspirational black entrepreneurs falling by the wayside, you know, having their businesses not getting business rescue like other people's businesses are. You know what I mean? Just not having funding, not being capitalized, being seen as high risk. Because if they're able to take down MacGyver, when you go with your proposal, but hey, MacGyver, boni leba mswing 13 million. Aya, sinfuni na babo. Mama, podcast, balan. We're not going to give you business. So, like, see, na Abama podcast, we need to tread carefully, but also at the same time, we mustn't censor ourselves unnecessarily. We need to know when is the right time to stand our ground, stand on business, and when it's the right time to, you know, apologize. You know, Penwell still doesn't agree that you should have apologized at the point that you did, but you set a very good example.
I'm a businessman.
And umdala
It's to feed. I don't hustle backwards.
Yeah.
I don't want Mr. Trevor Manuel as my enemy.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you don't want that enemy.
Love you so much, guys. Thank you for tuning in. NOTA, the authority. We are back again next week, Monday. Like, share, subscribe the episode. Clip it up. Spread it on all your social media platforms, TikTok, and everywhere else. We'll see you guys soon. Dango!
Hola. Dango.